record 12% of Americans see a 0% chance of stocks rising over the next year. Canadians are fearful about a global dystopian future, as they just elected a former central banker to be their new prime minister. Spain is completely in the dark, experiencing blackouts after worshiping at the ESG altar of renewable energy for their country. Bitcoiners are unfazed. They keep stacking. MicroStrategy just purchased $1.42 billion worth of Bitcoin. And some analysts think 200K prices are still in play this year.
So Bitcoin target price remains 210,000 and driven by institutional adoption and global liquidity expansion.
But Max Kaiser thinks 200K price predictions are rookie numbers.
So Bitcoin should trade at parity to gold in terms of market capitalization, which means that it could easily go from 85,000 a coin to 850,000 a coin during this cycle. So say the next 5 years. So you got 1,000% return in 5 years, I think is a reasonable expectation for Bitcoin as it achieves parity in market capitalization with gold, which it definitely should because it does everything gold does, but it does it better.
The entire world is converging on Bitcoin all at once. Today, we look at why Bitcoin is the #1 investment option for nations, states, institutions, and why you're not bullish enough. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. If you're not bullish about Bitcoin right now, I don't know what's wrong with you. The global money supply is exploding. China's money supply is exploding. You've got the U.S. Secretary of Commerce saying there's only Bitcoin, not blockchain.
People always started with, you should learn blockchain, right? Remember the whole blockchain this and blockchain that? Yep. And so I started looking at and trying to understand blockchain technology and how that would impact financial services and things like that. But then, of course, then I started saying, well, is it really blockchain I should be thinking about, or should I be thinking about Bitcoin? And then the attributes of Bitcoin, the fundamental attributes, 21 million, there aren't going to be any more. There's no one messing with the software. There's no one you can fix it or change it. It's just a rare entity. And so that rarity is what creates its value. And I played with it a little bit, bought a little bit, then bought a little bit more. And then I started really learning about the whole ecosystem. And then my firm I brought my firm into the market, try to be an advisor, analysts, cover it, talk about it. So I think it was just until 2020. And then 2020, we went all in with it in every way. And, I guess that's early. In 2025 talk, it's pretty early.
I think we're all early. I think in the grand scheme of things with Bitcoin.
Oh, I like that answer. That's a good one. I like that. I got to go with that from now on. That's going to become mine.
People like Michael Saylor believe that we're still in the early innings. MicroStrategy just purchased another 15,355 Bitcoin, exhausting their $21 billion ATM offering in just 6 months. Can you imagine when the institutions start jumping in? According to the CIO of BlackRock, an $11 trillion asset manager, Bitcoin is the only conclusion that they're coming to in this digital asset investment thesis. There is no second best.
I'm not a deep enough student of kind of the institutional ecosystems in the other coins right now, but in terms of the conversations that we've had with institutional investors, they are really largely focused on Bitcoin right now, particularly in this environment. Ethereum is still a distant second.
Distant second.
Yeah.
So we're not even talking about revenue generating protocols or anything like that.
And remember, we're talking about the institutional investors who are broadly in 60-40 equity bond portfolios and looking to figure out what the new sources of return and diversification will be for them. They want both of those, and that's what's bringing them to private markets. It's bringing them to Bitcoin specifically right now.
Which is why we've partnered with Ledn, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, which allow you to unlock liquidity in the best asset in the world without selling the best asset in the world. Their process is simple, fast, and transparent, and you can get money in your account in less than 24 hours. That's why they have 1,000 5-star customer reviews. It's simple. If you want a $5,000 loan, well, you put up $10,000 worth of Bitcoin collateral. You can get started with a loan at just 12.4%, but you can get 0.25% off your first Bitcoin-backed loan by going to learn.ledn.io/simply to sign up. There is no second best. One of the ways that you can be sovereign in an event, a global crisis where they say your Bitcoin is no longer your Bitcoin, is by simply removing your Bitcoin from third-party exchanges like Coinbase and taking custody of your Bitcoin the right way, the proper way. And you can do that confidently, safely, securely by partnering with an expert at thebitcoinway.com. Members of their team will walk you through how to preserve your Bitcoin the right way and then to also keep it protected from bad actors. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. That's thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. Bitcoin gives you the best of both worlds. It runs like an equity or a high beta stock, but at its core, it's still a commodity.
Treated under the Biden administration like you were doing something wrong. Like, what were you doing wrong? Like, where was the harm to someone? Where was the, so now you have that sort of in the rearview mirror and then it's gone. And it'll never come back, right? Because once the United States of America embraces something, you've never seen the United States of America embrace something and then they're turn their back on it later. That's never happened.
Yeah.
So now you've turned that page, you're in the positive world of America. And I think what's going to happen is Bitcoin will become more and more part of the just ordinary talking. People can hold it as assets. They'll trade it like a stock. There's no difference from it, maybe, but it's not really a stock. It's more a commodity. I believe, like the way you talk about it, is what is Bitcoin like? It's like gold. To me, it's a commodity. Why? There's only so much of it, right? And it's like gold. Now, gold trades anywhere. No one stops me from buying this ring when I want to buy the ring of gold, right? So gold trades everywhere. Exchanges, okay. If you want to be an exchange, you can be an exchange. But if you want to buy and sell gold, you can buy and sell gold.
Right.
So I think you should be able to buy and sell Bitcoin. It's a commodity. It should be treated like a commodity. It should be treated like oil. It should be treated like gold. It's intellectually correct. I know people have all sorts of things to say about it, but in the end, it's not a currency. It's a commodity. And once you embrace the concept of a commodity, you'll see how beautiful that is and how that fits into almost every thoughtful box, right? No one stops someone from selling oil from one person to another. No one should stop someone from selling Bitcoin from one person to another, using Bitcoin, however they want to do it. You want to put it on an exchange? Fine, call it a commodity exchange. But let's understand that Bitcoin, if it's treated like a commodity, is the freedom that we all who are watching this podcast, we all look for.
And it gives you a third variable. Not only does it act like a commodity, a digital gold, it also acts like a risk-on asset when things start to run.
Bitcoin has two faces, digital gold and risk-on assets. And most of the time, Bitcoin behaves like a risk-on assets because it's a network whose value comes from the user adoption and network effect, very similar to an internet company, for instance. But it was during a crisis that the Bitcoin behaves like a gold because it's designed after the physical gold in terms of like a digital scarcity and so forth. But these moments are rare. So if only happened when the market has doubts about the stability of the US dollar-dominated financial system, like when Russia invaded Ukraine in early 2022 or when Silicon Valley banks collapsed in early 2023. And then most recently, in the aftermath of the Liberation Day tariff announcements. So I think the Bitcoin is just doing what it does, which is sometimes it acts like a risk-on asset most of the time, but during the crisis it acts like a gold, and then that's what we saw in the month of April.
Bitcoin gives you more optionality than a Slate Auto truck. And this is why states are now getting into the game. Arizona just became the first state to pass a Bitcoin treasury bill. This bill allows it to invest 10% of its over $31 billion of assets to buy Bitcoin. They just need a signature from the governor. And there's about 10 other states right behind Arizona. The game theory is going to play out. When one buys, all of the dominoes fall. And the same thing is true at the nation-state level. Other nation-states see the writing on the wall. And the United States is no dummy.
So the global economy has operated with a very high dollar dominance. With the current level of U.S. debt, the previous weaponization of the dollar, the global economy is very scared of dollars, right? The international sovereigns have decreased their buying of U.S. debt. The sixth largest buyer of treasury bills today is a stablecoin company called Tether. And the US government is very scared of the world going away from the dollar. And so they want to ensure dollar dominance. You know, President Trump said he wants the BRICS countries not to abandon the dollar, right? So if countries are moving to own lots of Bitcoin and trade in Bitcoin, the US has to have a lot of Bitcoin, and they have to hold a lot of hash rate, because Bitcoin mining, I think, is this big misnomer. We should really rename it. It's called Bitcoin transaction processing and Bitcoin network security. Two different functions, right? Because if the rest of the globe has 80% of the global hash rate, well, people transacting in the US with Bitcoin may be locked out of 8 out of every 10 transactions, or 8 out of every 10 blocks. And so it becomes of strategic importance for the US to have a lot of mining inside the country. To do that, we have to have much more liberal energy policies. We have to fix FERC and permitting and all these other things. But the US also has to build a very big strategic reserve of Bitcoin, because we have a strategic oil reserve not because we're short of oil in this country. We pump more oil out of the ground here than Saudi Arabia does. We have lots of gold in Fort Knox, not because the dollar's backed by gold. That ended 50 years ago. We have gold in Fort Knox, so if there's an attack on the dollar, the US government has a way to defend the dollar. And it's not something they talk about a lot. We have a strategic petroleum reserve, so the government can control the price of oil domestically, which is what President Biden did not too long ago. So we need a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Other countries know we know that. They know it, and they're starting to buy. And even countries where before there was a belief that Bitcoin is this bad thing are waking up to the fact that they need to hold some Bitcoin to make sure that they're not left out of this game, because the US government's intention is to inflate away the debt. And by that, I don't mean let inflation run rampant. They want the dollar to devalue. Right? The dollar index today is trading at about 1.06, right? It should be down at about 100, as it's called, right? Which is a even par to where it's been historically. So the dollar's overvalued right now. If you devalue the dollar, how do you do that? Some of you may have heard that the Trump administration has talked about creating a sovereign wealth fund. What happens when you take lots of dollars, sell them to buy other currencies to go buy and invest in other countries? The price of the dollar goes down. What currency is our debt denominated in? Dollars. How do you get the debt to go down? You make dollars less valuable in the world. Those of you who earn W-2 income, those of you who do not hold real assets, those of you who do not hold Bitcoin are the ones who will suffer from that. And other countries understand that. The bulk of foreign countries' reserves are in dollars. If the US is going to take the dollar and devalue it, the last place they want to be is holding a bunch of dollars that are getting worth less every day. And so the only solution is something that is not controlled by central governments, and that's called Bitcoin.
They are going to inflate away the debt, devalue the dollar, and build a Bitcoin reserve in order to protect the dollar in the future. It's pretty simple. The first nation state that uses their own currency to buy Bitcoin, well, they win.
And the first nation to print money, the first nation to print their own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. Right? Like, Tom, look what MicroStrategy did. We basically issue our own currency, our stock, and we buy Bitcoin. What happened? We went from $1 billion to $100 billion market cap is what happened. Is it inflation? It's only inflation if you print the currency to invest, to make a bad investment, right? If you print the currency to buy something that's appreciating faster than your inflation rate, it's actually accretion.
An infinitely inflatable asset for a scarce digital global commodity. And don't overthink this. Don't think about so many other crypto tokens out there. Even Gary Gensler, one of the biggest Bitcoin haters out there himself, said that Bitcoin is the only thing that will persist.
While something like Bitcoin may persist for a long time because there's 7 billion people around the globe, a real keen interest in it, there's 10 or 15,000 others of these tokens. And to think through your own risk, your own personal risk about where are the fundamentals. And if this is just about sentiment, then generally those don't end up well, and most then go down.
Are you talking, you're contrasting Bitcoin with the other ones, or they're all the same?
I think there's the distinction is similar to in metals. There's only 2 or 3 precious metals. We humans have a certain fascination with 2 or 3 precious metals like gold. I don't think we humans will have a fascination with 10 or 15,000 meme or sentiment tokens trading over the years.
10,000 to 15,000 other coins? Well, they're not going to be a good bet for you. And this is why you don't see big conferences around other crypto tokens anymore. They're pretty lame. They're at hotels, they're super small, and there's not a lot of engagement in the community. But that's the exact opposite of the Bitcoin community, which from May 27th through May 29th, you're going to see 20 to 30,000 people come to the Venetian in Las Vegas for the Bitcoin conference, the largest Bitcoin conference in the world. Go to b.tc/conference/2025 and use the promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off of your ticket. The team is super excited to meet you down there. Don't overthink what's going on in the world around you. Don't look at the doom and gloom of tariffs or blackouts or a low probability that stocks are going to have great returns this year. Things are looking good for Bitcoin. Are you going to get on board? This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.